So our final topic here, before we get into a property analysis, is electrification of new buildings. So this is something that's very it's being discussed at many different levels across the state of California and also other states too. But for many that don't know, a little bit of background here is that California has passed a law that will require new development buildings. Well, actually, is it all buildings or just single-family homes?
Right now, it's primarily single-family homes, but you're actually beginning to see a lot of push for that for new apartment complexes that are being built. There's a huge push to do away with natural gas and just gas in general. And so when you're talking about the electrification of houses or in California, you're probably going to see more of a push towards solar, wind, and renewable energies that don't include gas.
Well, for single-family homes, after the year 2030, you're going to be required to have solar panels installed. So when the developer is building homes, they're going to be building them with solar panels on board. Now, one of the big topics being discussed at the state level is the electrification of existing properties. And basically what this is, and it's funny, electrification sounds... I feel like they need to give it a different name. But,
right, it sounds funny.
Yeah, but what they're talking about is taking existing properties that are already built, being occupied, and converting them into fully powered by electricity. I guess very much like retrofitting the building for earthquakes, right?
Right.
And going through that process. So what's your opinion on that? Because that's going to cost a lot of money, or does it really not cost that much money?
I mean, that's exactly the big hot topic on that is that it's going to cost a lot of money, and the question is always who's going to pay for it. I mean, it's not as though we don't have the technology or the ability to do these things if not for the economics that get behind things and slow things down. So although it's a great idea and I'm all for it, I think we're going to see a lot of that of pushback, or just plain and simply, people not being able to afford it, especially with older homes. Because you got to remember, there's going to be some homes in the Bay Area that are like 1910 build, 1920 build, and many of those have been renovated already, but are still going to have a lot of the old equipment. On newer homes, it's a different story. It is going to increase the cost of newer homes because of all the new technology that goes into it. And I could only assume that as that technology becomes more proliferated, then the cost will eventually go down. And again, although this is a great topic, especially for the environment, it is still 2030, which is still relatively a long time away. Right? We're supposed to have flying cars by now, but that's not quite the case.
So 2030 is going to be the beginning start date for new developments going forward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, what you were saying is, if you're trying to convert existing properties and put solar panels on them, there's still a lot of buildings, like you mentioned, that are really old that still have fuses.
Right, or knob and tube.
Yeah, and even if they're out of fuses, the actual current main panel may not be able to handle a lot of the load that's being able to get generated by the actual solar panels. And then you start to get into issues of, well, where's all this excess power going to go? If all of a sudden every property has solar panels, which I guess would be good, because all that can be funneled right back to a company like PG&E for them to then distribute out to other buildings.
Well, except for that right now PG&E is undergoing bankruptcy, and then PG&E actually is because I put solar on the building, I put solar on my home, and I think, although that was a great idea to send the energy back to PG&E and get reimbursed, PG&E is actually, I think, now fining certain people once they exceed a certain limit of.
Yeah, they have a very weird formula or algorithm on how they calculate that. But one of the other options is to get a battery storage for your own place and store it there. I mean, I'm a fan of Tesla and their battery and their solar panel roof.
In fact, they're promoting that right now, where Tesla has a battery that would store excess energy so that you could begin to get off the grid between the solar or the energy that's generated from your solar panels on your roof to just powering your everyday regular electrical expenses, so to speak, or electrical power needs. But having a battery right on the house that saves up and creates a reservoir for electricity when the sun goes down or when there's clouds in the sky and you're not generating as much power from your solar panels or your wind as you might normally be.
And with the Tesla batteries, you can attach, I believe, up to 4. It's pretty impressive. And I love the roof, but the roof is like $80,000 when
Yes.
you can get a new roof for like 30.
Right, exactly. So hopefully the prices of that will go down. It'll be an interesting stretch to get there.